This is Ramdas, and on behalf of Care Bangladesh, I warmly welcome you to the second edition of the Fresh Take. In a world of constant change, staying relevant and impactful requires more than just experience. It demands fresh thinking, bold ideas, and openness to learn from diverse experiences. Fresh Take is Care Bangladesh's new podcast initiative designed to do exactly that. Fresh Tech is not just a social media content, it's a bridge of knowledge, a space where ideas spark action, where dialogue fosters innovation, and where Care Bangladesh stays rooted in listening, adapting, and evolving to better serve communities and catalyze change. Because sometimes all it takes is a fresh take to see future a little more clearly. Today we are extremely fortunate to have with us Deepmala Mahla, our Chief Humanitarian Officer, CARE, an accomplished leader in the humanitarian and development sector. She has an illustrious career spanning over 25 years. In her present role as a Chief Humanitarian Officer, Deepmala oversees and directs the organization's humanitarian initiatives, demonstrating strategic leadership and fostering innovation. Her tenure has been marked by transformative achievements, including spearheading CARE's humanitarian response to unprecedented levels and establishing impactful partnerships, including in areas where CARE had no prior presence. Throughout her career, she has been a driving force behind program development, design, and implementation, contributing significantly to CARE's impactful reach and influence. Thank you, Deepmala. We are extremely fortunate to have you today. We are really excited and looking forward to having your thoughts and spending some time with you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Ram, and thank you for hosting. I am delighted to have this chat with you. You and I have worked together for a few years, partnered on so many things, so much shared experience. So I'm really looking forward to the fresh take.
Thank you. And before we formally start, now one question which always comes to my mind is we know so much about you, but there may be some areas which you probably do not know much. So can you tell us something about the Deepala which we don't know?
So let me share with you, Ram. I foster and rescue cats as much as I can. Been doing it quietly for some years. So amidst all this global humanitarian crisis and all my travels, I am taking care of, trying my best to heal, cure, and give homes to stray cats, kittens who are abandoned. And this is something which really warms my heart.
That's interesting. It's something which is, I'm sure the viewers will be excited to hear this. I don't know if many people do that, but that's really something great. Despite your really, really heavy schedule and the kind of travel you do, you still have that time to take care of animals, especially cat. That's really a great humanitarian attribute, I would say. Uh, I know you also a passionate reader. So can you tell us any book which really you have read, which or a quote which has shaped the way you actually work, the way you look at life and work?
But there's so many books, Ram, as you know. It's hard to choose, hard to pick. And throughout my life, I have learned from many places, many people, many books, many quotes. And I do remember you gave me a beautiful book. You remember?
Yes, yes.
Birthday
Yes,
is
yes.
my name. That was such a powerful book. But if I have to pick one book that has shaped me, undoubtedly it is my experiments with truth with Mahatma Gandhi. I was much younger when I read it. And through that book, I really learned that courage does not have to be loud. It can be quiet, it can be a whisper. And that book taught me leading with integrity, even if it is inconvenient. And also, I learned from that book that lead with purpose and not position. So that book has, even now, continues to shape how I think, especially now the planet is hot and hostile. And I go back to some of the things, some of the quotes in that book. It's like it shows a path. Have you read?
Absolutely. These are I mean, I remember very vividly. We used to read that book as a guide for us during school days and later on in life. And I remember one quote I can share that from Gandhi is, in a gentle way, you can shake the world. It's such a powerful statement. And it's so true in today's world.
I've seen it on your desk.
Yeah, it is.
Good reminder.
Uh, you've traveled extensively across the world, to humanitarian crisis areas, trying to help people come to terms with life. You have supported teams on the ground to respond to humanitarian crisis. Uh, what is a common story you see running across all these conflicts?
There's huge diversity, huge difference, yet certain commonality. And of course, you know this, and I think like the type of humanitarian needs, the type of crisis, context, how people try and make it, there is certain commonality. Um, but if I have to articulate it, it actually sounds or feels like the language of compassion, common. The hurt and the pain in the eyes of people with whatever they have endured, be it Haiti to Yemen to Afghanistan to Cox's Bazar, common. Despite everything that people have endured, they can laugh at a joke, common all across. Everywhere I have seen, they live in very, very difficult conditions, not many resources, but they do want to give you something, a piece of bread, a glass of water. In Yemen, one woman decided to oil my hair because she thought they don't look nice. So just the compassion and care that they common across everywhere. And that is something which I feel that we think that the common thread is suffering. The common thread is this compassion, this shared pain, which you and I can also feel. You just need to open your heart and look through your eyes. Do you think?
Absolutely. I think what I see also is that element of hope in people, which brings in these attributes you said. They always feel that tomorrow will be better. That's what probably is the strongest attribute which I see across also. Very, very well. Very well kind of elaborated on that. Deepmala, absolutely see that. Uh, you have seen the humanitarian world so much that it's difficult to comprehend. But what do you think still is one bold idea which might change the way we think about humanitarian work today?
The two key things here are bold and idea. And I think how we partner to support humanitarian responses, that can radically shift if we get into more engagement from different stakeholders. And I'm specifically talking about private sector engagement. So, if I have to articulate it in one sentence, I would say we have to approach it from the perspective of engagement and not need. It has to be about shared value and not charity. Just approaching that humanitarian work or development work is not a weekend project, but changing from donation drives to designing solutions together can be a game changer. And I know you have so much vision on this area. So I would love to hear what you think too.
Yes, Deepala, we are working on some ideas of engaging with the private sector. For example, as you rightly said, uh, we need to work with the private sector to make them aware of what organizations like CARE is doing. So, this conclave which we are planning will engage with the private sector to say that we are keen to engage with them, first of all, to make them aware of what CARE does in Bangladesh and rest of the world, and also kind of say how we can partner with them so that we work for the business development as well as for the social good. So I think there's a change in mindset which is needed on either side if you want to work with the private sector in the coming days.
So it's a difficult job, I would say. My feeling is that they need to be sensitized a lot about the kind of change we are able to make at the community level with changing people's lives. Is a, saving lives, for example, is one thing which is probably the most powerful thing which humanitarians do. And I think probably nothing in the world can replace that, saving people's lives. So this is probably one thing I think is very important message which should go out the people, especially the people who are not involved in this business of humanitarianism.
Totally.
Yeah.
Shared value
Yeah, sure.
and shared goal of stability, resilience, and sustainability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Out of a bit about from the humanitarian work and what you do, many of my colleagues have a very kind of I'll be basically echoing their voice when I say that you've been very inspirational. I mean,
Thank
across the care world, across many country offices, including this country office, and the common impression of voice is that Deepmala is so inspirational, and you touch people's lives wherever you go. You bring that connect wherever you go. And you're such a wizard at words. Like when you speak, when you talk to media about the work we do, and that wizardry in the words which when you speak. Uh, what would you actually give advice to people around, young people, youngsters around in the care world? Uh, it's difficult to become another Deepmala, but anything closer to that, what do you think actually would take?
It's very simple. Grasp the subject, words will flow. As simple as that. Grasp the subject, and the words will flow. And it's very humbling and it feels nice to hear what you have said. But for me, everywhere I go, everywhere I travel, I am learning, absorbing. So I would also say if colleagues or friends get inspired, the inspiration was in them. But maybe I made a small contribution to triggering it, touching it a little bit. So I firmly believe that if the speaker is genuine, the listener can feel it. So, genuine care for the work that we do, earnestness, courage, conviction, people can feel it. So, yes, talking points in all this is important, but the reader or the listener or anywhere, it could be people with PhDs, it could be people in the communities who never had a chance to go to school, they will feel your truth and sincerity. So, that should be the focus. And then the external cosmetic part of it is also important. And then I would say practice really helps. And I also totally realize that there are so many different languages in the world. Not everyone is comfortable in English. So that bit of practice also makes a difference. I would say that talking to yourself is a really good idea.
Right.
And since you mentioned media, if somebody is delivering an interview or a talk or something, just talk to yourself for 15-20 minutes before that so that the voice and vocal cords are a bit exercised and opened. Then I often see sometimes colleagues have such great ideas and then they fumble. A very, very good trick. Do you want to know this one? Does somebody have a pen? So, if there are lots of thoughts and something has stuck in the mouth, it happens with everyone. Try speaking like that. That fumble will clear.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
I learned it from a friend who used to do theater. But all these things are very, very important, having the right talking points and make sure of the language. Like if you're recording something for social media, just think where would people listen? Maybe on the phone. So now I think people like you and I, we are used to addressing large crowds. Times have changed now. People listen to it on the phone. So when you are recording, maybe you can speak in a way that it feels like more like a one-on-one conversation and not a group address. So paying attention to what your words are and who's the audience. Some I think voice exercises are good. Changing the modulation of voice is important. Monotonous voice is not that engaging. And there's tons of such stuff like that. I'm not even an expert. Tons of such stuff which is available on the internet. There are trainers. But the main thing I would say, without that, everything will fail. Grasp the subject. Words will flow.
I absolutely agree with you. I think subject matter knowledge is important when you speak about. You know exactly what you want to speak. That will lead to thoughts and expression. I'm sure people, I mean, around the world who will be hearing this, they're very, very useful tips for the next media interview they would be having. I think, and personally, I think that's a great tip for me as well for the next about the fumble which you mentioned about that pen trick. I think that's something which I'll definitely use my next interview. But yes,
So
that
I-
this case element. Sorry,
Sorry to walk over. I would say that we can make an offer to our care colleagues at least. If you want to have like a half an hour in which you want to hear some of my experiences or the how-to of better public speaking or engagement, ping me on Teams. I'll do that half an hour or 1 hour with you. And thank Ram because he created this space.
thank you. I will also spread the word. So watch out for your mailbox getting spammed now. Well, thank you. That is a very, very useful tip, especially about the subject matter. Also, I think we really need to know what we are speaking. So that's very important. Coming back to again a bit about development work which we do. mm, what is the biggest myth? And after all these years of development work and humanitarian work which we do, what is the biggest myth still is there in this development world which we need, as leaders need to challenge it?
Right. And I'm glad you said biggest myths because there are still many. I think the biggest one is that development and humanitarian work is giving handouts. It's all about charity. The reality is, as you know probably more than me, that it takes years, it takes an investment, it has several phases of life-saving, recovery, building resilience, longer term development for communities. So just the handout part and the humanitarian and development workers like us and all across care are some sort of do-gooders who invest their lives in sorting the world out. Not really. So it is about justice, equality, partnerships,
Yeah.
not handouts. So talking about the biggest myths, I think we should just say hashtag no handouts but partnerships. I have over and over experienced that. You gave the example of when we talk to the private sector actors or potential donors, whenever we do these engagement trips to what is referred to as global north, I come across this handout sort of perception of our work so much. And this is such serious work. A handout, yes, it may include a handout. It often does include a handout, but that is not the essence of our work. The essence of our work is centered around justice, equality, and partnerships. That is what I have seen and felt.
Very powerful thoughts. Thank you. Thank you, Deep. I don't have anything to add to that as my reflection. So, uh, you know, organization like CARE in general, globally, and CARE Bangladesh in particular, uh, how do you think as an organization we should evolve to be more responsive and future ready? There is so much things happening, so much change happening in the world. Every day there is some crisis happening in different parts of the world. Uh, how, as an organization, we should evolve, keeping pace with the kind of changes happening all around us.
True, there's no other option. That is the only option, keeping pace with the world and future ready, as you have said. I think few things. One, we spoke about engaging the private sector, but not as donors. We have to work with them for solutions, and we should not be after their checkbook, but we should be bringing them to design together. Like sometimes I think, like we were in Cox's Bazar earlier this week. Just imagine when a crisis strikes, you have mobile and digital technology, solar energy, and supply chain, everything sorted from day one. That's not wishful thinking. It's really practical. And it can happen when we bring these engagements early on, when we design together. So that is one. I also feel that care, actually our sector, we have to very swiftly change the way we tell our story. For some reason, at a certain level, there is some toxic narrative about aid not being effective or not being efficient, and we have seen so much of it. There's so much hate speech, all of it. And I feel, of course, we feel sad about it because we are shocked. Then I think, what went wrong? Perhaps we were too busy doing our best, and we did not focus on our storytelling in that way. And then our work is so professional, so specialized, that it takes a minute to translate that into simple language. So I would say telling the impact of our work, telling the criticality of our work, and again, going back to our previous point that it is not charity, it is the only way to evolve as a planet, as a community together, I would say, be the next one. And then the third one is more like a process, but there are tons of brilliant ignited minds in care all across the world, from Philippines right up to the Caribbean. Those ideas are there. We have to listen, find out, identify, encourage. Essentially, if our people, our teams are comfortable making mistakes, we will evolve much faster than we think. Would you like to add anything?
No, I think that's perfectly put, Deepan. I think this is perfectly said. And yeah, that takes me to the next point when you said you have this across the world, this kind of from the Philippines to the Caribbean, you see that attribute. So I see that you have been quite inspired in the kind of what you have seen around the world also. So basically, my next question is, who inspires a person who's already is an inspiration to all of us. So what's your story, and exactly what makes you get out of bed every morning? So what is that inspiration which yeah,
Every day.
yeah,
Actually, it's the work that we do, and sometimes my mind is very simplistic. And these days, I'll be very honest with you, as I always have been. There are days are overwhelming because the hostility on the planet, the protracted crisis, and it does feel very, very heavy at times. And then I think about all the colleagues I have met, all the teams I have met, community members I have engaged, and I'm like, I have no other option. I need to get up, put my shoulder to the wheel, and get it going. Um, Also, I ask myself this question that what am I doing today to make the lives of our colleagues who are involved in implementing or designing our projects, what am I doing today to make it easier? And let me sum this up with an example. I was in northern Mozambique for a few days. It's, as you know, it's a very insecure, very difficult to implement a crisis, which also does not have too much attention. So you are driving around and it can feel too big. And I was with our project manager, her name is Enma. And we have been talking about the crisis and how it grows and grows and grows. People are displaced multiple times. CARE is making shelters, but then the shelters are empty because the people have been displaced yet again. And I just said, Enma, what are we going to do? And for a moment, it felt like she's not listening to me. And she said, look there, Deepmala, that's a small village there. And we have set up a borehole or a bore well there after hard work of 2 months. And now over 100 families there will have fresh drinking water every day. I'm so happy. And I thought, if Enma can be happy, I can be happy. And I must make the Enmas around the world happy. This is enough for me. And, I think about leaders like you, and I'm like, yes, they are there delivering. And we just have to step up. It's just natural. We have to be out of bed. And I won't lie, there are moments where it feels terrible. And I acknowledge that. I share it with some colleagues that it feels very heavy. Sometimes when I'm off on a conversation on Gaza or colleagues from there, it does feel heavy. I never reject that feeling. I acknowledge it. And then like, all right, I'll say the most cliche thing now, Ram, more than ever. But more than ever, we need to do that. People are waiting for us. They are looking forward to us.
yeah. I think I have also been like all over the world wherever I worked. It's the community members we work with, and our colleagues, our team members, and their work, their sacrifices, personal sacrifices, many times, just to make sure that yes, if I set out to serve the community, at a personal sacrificing personal comfort and other things, reaching out to them, making sure that they're making lives a bit easier. I've seen many examples like that, and I think that keeps us all going. You're very right that you have made somebody smile that day. That simple thought is so powerful that you have contributed to somebody's happiness in some way. That is a very powerful thought. And I agree with you that that keeps all of us going every day. Thanks, Deepala, for those very, very insightful thoughts. One last question as we come to the end of this uh, fresh talk edition. What is the one advice you will give to the young change makers of this country?
I would like to learn a lot from the young change makers in this country. But coming from experience, I would say there is no ceiling. And if anybody tells you there are ceilings, check out for yourself. So I would say go try. There is absolutely nothing wrong with succeeding partially or failing. Just go try. And I would also say that many of the young change makers, um, sometimes you are looking for a key to get out of the room. Check carefully. The door might already be open. So, you are the country director of Bangladesh, one of the strongest, large scale, impactful programs across care globally. And you have a lot on your plate. So many people look up to you. What does it actually mean to be the country director of Bangladesh? How overwhelming does it feel?
That's a interesting question, Deepala. In fact, there is no easy day for any leadership position. Saying navigating these daily challenges is that treating them as situations and not problems. You have a slightly different clarity if you change your perspective. The other way is also trying to see opportunities amidst diversity. We get into difficult situations every day, but always there is a ray of hope. I believe there is always a light at the end of the dark tunnel. So this again a change in perspective which is required to understand where the opportunities lie.
Thank you. That's powerful.
And as we come to the uh, end of this fresh take, thank you, Deepala, for those thoughts which will remain for a long, long time, personally with me and for all the listeners, I'm sure, across the world. And as you know, this edition of Fresh Take is consciously kind of tries to find in this world of this bunny world, as I say, which is brittle, anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible. You always try to see that the old maps aren't working anymore, so we try to find a way through a north star, and now we try to find our north star through you know in the form of living human beings, and so we had a north star today in Deepmala Mahla. We look forward to another north star in our next edition. I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much.